From the fast action of the trading pit to the power brokers making the headlines, you'll hear it all on the Traders Network Show with your host, Michael Yorba. All right. Michael interviews the front page titans about the latest in trading tools and market trends in stocks, commodities, bonds, forex, and derivatives. The Traders Network helps you stay ahead of the curve and delivers tomorrow's trade today. Now, here's your host, Michael Yorba.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. Broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, it's my esteemed pleasure to bring on Todd Denkin, CEO, DigiPath, Inc., symbol on the stock, DIGP. Web address is digipath.com. Todd, welcome to the show. Thank you for showing up.
Thank you, Michael. Thanks for having me.
All right, my pleasure. You are really one of the special guests. I'm glad to have you on the show. You've got a lot of background in the entertainment industry, and you've recently moved over into an industry that is just blowing up all over the United States and soon to be all over the globe. Let me back up a little bit and give you the latitude deserved a professional like yourself to give our audience the background on you, the leadership skills that you bring to this company, and then we can go into what the company does.
Sure. Well, I am a 30-year producer, director, editor, been in this business like you are for a very long time, and I used to be on the radio 100 years ago. It certainly feels like, and my background is, like I said, in TV and radio production. And then about right around 2000, and actually in 2000, I moved out to Las Vegas to work with a technology company, and really did all of their production work and helped take that company public as well. And then in 2008, we started to see a trend in the marijuana space, and all of a sudden, it became very exciting to my partner and myself, and we ended up buying a hydroponic company back in 2009, and we took that company public, and we ran that company for a little while, and we saw that the end of prohibition only happens once in a lifetime, and we really wanted to take advantage of it. So when we left that company, we started on a quest to really build and create a perfect grow situation, both from a vegetable standpoint and from a cannabis standpoint. And then that led us to where we are today, and that is with DigiPath, Inc. And DigiPath, Inc. is a company with 4 different business units. We have a digital pathology division, which is, just like it says, right in the digital pathology space. We have proprietary hardware and software that takes digital stills of both human and animal tissues and allows, doctors from all over the world to really view these slides. And you don't have to wait for a lab for a doctor to look at a slide anymore. We also have, and we launched a very successful radio show called TNM News, which is the National Marijuana News. And basically what that is, it's an unbiased look at the marijuana world. We listen to both sides. We talk to pro-marijuana advocates. We talk to anti-marijuana advocates. And we really deliver an unbiased approach to marijuana news and information. We have lots of luminaries that we've interviewed, everyone from Dr. Lester Grinspoon, who is really known as the father of modern-day medical marijuana. He wrote the book Marijuana Rediscovered back in 1971 after his son was stricken with leukemia, and found that cannabis was the only thing that helped him get through chemotherapy. So, and celebrities like Tommy Chong, of course, and Bob Marley's guitarist, Marvin, and we really like to offer up guests and different interviews from patients, from doctors, from scientists, from people working in the field, because education is really the key to marijuana legalization nationwide, which again leads us to our third business unit, which is DigiPath U. And what we are doing is we're developing a education program for the marijuana world, and it's not really just for anyone who wants to get a job in a dispensary or learn how to grow, but it's really more about teaching the doctors and teaching the nurses and the caregivers about the different strains of marijuana, how to dose out marijuana, and how to really prescribe it to the right person for the right reason. And it really is a pathway to help not only doctors and nurses, but also businessmen and legislatures and people making the rules all about these marijuana laws so they understand what the plant is all about. And then, of course, we have DigiPath Labs, where we have a marijuana testing facility. And we, in fact, just got our license here in Las Vegas, Nevada. We're pretty excited, and we're going to open our first marijuana testing lab in early 2015. So I went from, radio, television, broadcasting into the technology world, and it brought me right here to the cannabis space. And like you said at the beginning, this is a burgeoning industry, and we find ourselves in the right place at the right time.
Let's talk about the burgeoning industry side of it. I mean, the money side of it, was it $250 million globally in 2013? Is expected to grow where?
Well, that's expected to go to tax revenue. Colorado alone this year had $100 million in tax revenue since they went legal in January of this year. So, the numbers are really unbelievable, and I like to call this time in history Cannabis 2.0. Because the old cannabis business was all outlaws, and they were all, criminals and, guys willing to break the law in order to make the money to grow what was high in demand, which is marijuana, of course. And this Cannabis 2.0, I call this the end of the beginning, the end of the beginning of the cannabis world, because it's really happening where big business is getting involved. Wall Street's getting involved, doctors, scientists. And they're taking the art out of growing marijuana and really making it a science. And what that's doing, it's attracting big business.
It is. Even insurance companies are hopping into it. Not right now. They're doing it on a white label basis. But when insurance companies move into it, there's something that it's got a real clear path for sustainability. But what I meant by the original question was, we've got a $250 million industry that's expected to grow by some 11% this as we get into 2018. So, that's at least $437 million. And everybody is getting on the deal. Now, you recently cut a deal, $1 million deal with another company. Tell us about the Gene company. Tell us about Gene Tech in Hong Kong.
Sure. Yeah, they are a laboratory company, and what they do is they read slides. So they were pretty excited about. They're like a Quest, laboratory here in the United States, where Quest, does lab testing for doctors all over the country. Well, that's what they do in China, and they were really excited about our DigiPath, our PathScope, and they are using that so they can shorten the cycle of reading slides. And it was a big deal. We deliver product to them once a quarter, and it's a big deal for DigiPath Corp, which is our pathology part of the company.
Right. Now, you started this radio show, which I've been on your website. You've got all the guests lined up there. You got them in videos, or their headshots there. But one of the things that I just noticed here on the latest headlines on your news service is the federal government just made marijuana legal in all Native American reservations in the United States. That was new news to me.
That is new news. It just came out this morning, was announced early this morning, and, it's huge news for us. We had over 300,000 hits to our website today after we posted that story. So it is certainly big news. We also posted it on our Facebook page, and we are just bombarded with information. So this is big news for the marijuana space, where finally the federal government is sort of relaxing a little bit.
Well, yeah, I can see that they're only relaxing because they see a burgeoning tax basis that they can take advantage of, and it's about time that people turn to this kind of a medicine that's been outlawed, and actually they've and science finally has turned the corner on this and said, no, wait a minute, there are some medical benefits to this. We're about out of time on this segment, but before we go, any physical events that you and your team are going to be at where some of the listeners can show up, shake your hand, and talk to you more in depth?
You know what? There's so many events that are happening over the next several weeks that I don't really have my schedule in front of me, but I try to get to as many of the trade shows and the conventions that are happening really, every other week. But we're around, so look for us.
Okay. All right. And if for web address is digipath.com. Symbol is DIGP for those investors that are out there looking for a ground floor opportunity. But the other contact information, I think you've got a toll-free number for our listeners in case they wanted to know more.
Yes, we do. And that number is, you cut me off guard.
I'll give it to you. 800-549-0859. And let's do this. Todd, let's take a short break, and I want to drill down more into the company on the other side and see if we can talk a little bit about Dr. Cindy Oster. How's that?
That's great.
All right, we'll be right back on the other side of this break with Todd Denkin, CEO, DigiPath, Inc., DIGP, symbol DigiPath, DIGIPATH.com on the other side of this break.
I'm Dr. James, founder of Diamond Physicians, a concierge medicine practice located in Dallas, Texas. Our Diamond 360 advanced physical exam has been created for people like you who live a high-stress, fast-paced life. Every 40 seconds, someone in the U.S. experiences a life-changing heart attack or debilitating stroke. Negative stress tests and normal cholesterol levels do not exclude you. Half of all fatal heart attacks occur without warning. Diamond goes beyond traditional medicine with the Diamond 360 Advanced Physical Exam, proven to prevent heart attacks, strokes, and diabetes. Contact Diamond now at 214-395-3491. That's 214-395-3491. Or visit our website at diamondphysicians.com to take the Diamond Challenge. If your Diamond 360 reveals perfect health, receive a full refund. Your loved ones will thank you.
Hi, this is Bernadette with Adrift Float Spa. Sensory deprivation is not an experience, it is the experience. Float today for only $59. Call us at 214-36-FLOAT or visit us online at adriftfloatspa.com.
At highway speeds, the average text takes your eyes off the road for about 5 seconds. That's enough time to travel the length of a football field. Stop texts, stopwrecks.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
My name is Japal. 2 years ago, I received a kidney transplant. When I was 21 years old, I started dialysis. And for 7.5 years, I was a patient receiving treatments 3 times a week for 4 hours each session. And man, it was hard. When I was sick, I barely had enough strength to walk across the parking lot going to the movies with my brothers. But after my transplant, my strength and energy came back, and I was able to run around and play with my nieces and nephews, which is very important to me. And being outside and feeling that first sun on your face is just incredible. You just feel the energy and the strength back in your body. It's something that's just so unexplainable, but something that you appreciate to the fullest. Kidney disease affects so many people in the African American community. My kidney transplant gave me my life back, and by becoming a donor, you can help someone get their life back as well.
You have the power to donate life. Be an organ, tissue, and eye donor. To find out how, go today to donatelifetexas.org.
Sponsored by the Texas Department of State Health Services.
Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host, broadcasting to you live from the Dallas KFXR 1190 AM iHeart Media Studios and worldwide through yorbamedia.com. All right, I'm joined with Todd Denkin, CEO, DigiPath, symbol DIGP, and web address DIGIPATH.com. All right, Todd, when we left off, we touched a little bit about the technology in the beginning of the last segment, went into your radio show, and kudos for you on that radio show. As you can see, it's going to be a wild success.
Thanks.
You're welcome. But what I'd like to do is circle back, if we could, and talk about some of the technology and your lead scientist, your chief science officer, Dr. Cindy Orser. Did I pronounce it correctly?
Yeah, you did. Yeah. Cindy is great. She is a real scientist, and when we say real scientist, she has been a biologist and a chemist all of her life. This is a woman who holds 18 patents for different things that she has discovered and brought to life. She has her PhD from the University of California in Berkeley. She has her BS in botany from Montana State, and she is really a big brain. We're really thrilled to have Cindy on board. She has different studies going on with the cannabis plant and has been studying cannabis for several years. She has a very impressive resume where she has worked for Homeland Security and the U.S. Navy. She has done things with the FDA and the CDC, and we're really thrilled to have her on board.
All right, let's talk about some of the technology that's inside of your company before we get into anything else, because you brought a lot of the high-level content in the beginning of the show about this technology, and let's open that up so the audience can hear how you're helping people.
Sure. Well, we have just outfitted our Las Vegas lab with state-of-the-art, all FDA quality testing equipment, and everything from a UPLC to an ICP, and these are really just high-end testing machinery. We just spent a boatload of money to bring this stuff in, and the reason why we did that is because we want to set ourselves apart from the regular, testing lab mentality. We believe that if marijuana is going to be treated as a drug, it needs to be treated as a drug, right? So it has to be tested properly. The great thing is that right here in Nevada, they have really mandated serious testing for cannabis. So that helps us certainly from a mandatory test, that everybody has to have. But what we're able to do with the high-end UPLC that we've just purchased is really deliver a standard and regularities of our testing. So we have such great equipment that, the next guy isn't going to have that stuff, and we will be able to deliver a really consistent testing application.
Let me drill down in some of the products that you have. Let's start with the hardware. I went to your website, and I see PathScope, PathLive. Give our audience a flavor for some of the products you're bringing to market.
Sure. Well, the PathScope, and actually it's interesting that our PathScope is the digital pathology piece of machinery that does the pathology slides. And what we're doing with that for the cannabis space is we're actually developing software right now to be used in the grow situation for plants. Right now, our PathScope is designed for animal and human tissue, and what we are doing, because we have entered into the space, is that we are developing the software using the same machinery but different software to take pictures and digital stills of the plant while it is growing. Now, why would we do that? Well, if there is a crop that's ruined, it's very costly for the cultivator because they can't sell their crop. So if somebody takes a high-end photograph of a leaf and sends it into us at our lab, we'll be able to say, well, it needs a little more nitrogen, or it's not enough phosphorus, or look, we see a lot of pesticides in here. What are you doing? So because we're able to take 100 times photo of a leaf, just by taking the photo of the leaf and directing the software to do the right thing, we'll be able to help the grower before they even come into the lab with their product.
Great. What's PathLive?
Well, PathLive is the system that really delivers the high-quality images in real time, and what it does, it enables the remote user to control the magnification. So it's software that you can use on your computer, so if you need to zoom into the slide and really get detailed, that's what that does.
Okay, and Path Consult?
The Path Consult is really our end-to-end digital pathology solution that enables remote consultation, and second opinions. So, you want to send this to another doctor, you can do that. And, we engineered Path Consult to work with files produced by our PathScope and 5 other different pathology systems. So even if you don't have our PathScope, you can still use our software.
All right, I'm going to walk right through the rest of them, and we've got about 5 minutes left in the interview, so we're not crowded for time. Path Cloud, Path Trade, Path Store, and Path Guarantee.
Yeah, all that is really the software and the usability of our equipment. The guarantee is we guarantee our equipment with the money back. The Path Store allows you to, purchase and market some software. We also do consultations, and if you need anything specialized in your particular lab, we can do that development for you. And then if you want to trade in an old machine, we'll even buy it back from you and upgrade you.
All right. I wanted to take a minute to let the audience know that you're not just a one trick pony here. I mean, you've got an array, a portfolio of products. Let's move forward, if we can, into some milestones that are, let's say some of the investors are out there considering buying your stock, would want to know some of the things that you're looking to do next year. And I understand that you're going to be developing some weekend seminars as you go forward.
Yeah, that's true. We are developing not only weekend seminars, but also online classes as well as brick and mortar classes. So what we've done is we've hooked up with a CRO company in Los Angeles, and they developed a training program and are still developing our training program. And basically it's like a marijuana 101 because, people don't know this, but, marijuana was in the American Pharmacopoeia up until 1942. That means that it was used in all kinds of drugs for cramps and headaches and anti-inflammatory up until 1942. What happened was, aspirin was invented and morphine was invented, and all of a sudden the pharmaceutical companies, they wanted to promote aspirin and morphine, and they stopped. They passed actually the Marijuana Tax Act and made marijuana illegal. So, it really is a useful medication and has been a useful medication for a long time. I bring that up because most people don't know that. And the problem with marijuana legalization, what we're finding is that people just don't know this and other things about marijuana. And education is the key to safe, reliable legalization. And really that's what it's all about. Most people's knowledge of the marijuana plant comes from either Reefer Madness or since Sanjay Gupta came on CNN and said, hey, marijuana's not so bad, I've changed my mind. That's really the education that most people have. So what we want to do with DigiPath U is change that and teach people exactly why the plant is such the topic of conversation, why it's so useful, and why so many patients around the world use it to heal themselves.
Now, I imagine there is a lot of education that goes on your radio show, TMN, the National Marijuana News Show. You've got to have some memories of some really interesting conversations, because you said you do both sides, the pros and the cons.
Oh, yeah.
You get to come on there.
Yeah. Well, yeah, no, absolutely. We had a Congressman Andy Harris on the show, and he is a congressman from Maryland, and he is a very well-known proponent of marijuana. He doesn't want it legalized, and he's a 30-year anesthesiologist, and he talks about how really, which is our philosophy at DigiPath Labs, is that, look, this is a medicine, and if you're going to call it a medicine, you got to treat it like a medicine. And he says in his interviews, he said, look, if I, prescribe Vicodin to somebody, I know exactly what dose to give, I know exactly what they're going to get, I know exactly how their body's going to react, and I know exactly how many doses to tell them to take. Well, there's so many different strains of marijuana, and there's so many different grow styles, and every piece of marijuana is different. How can we call it medicine? The only way to do that is to control it from the grow aspect all the way down to the sale aspect. And he really was passionate about what he was talking about, but the truth is he's this anti-marijuana guy, but he still believes that there are healing properties with CBD extracted materials. So he was a very interesting guy to talk to, and even though he is anti-marijuana. And, Tommy Chong was a lot of fun to talk to as well. Tommy's got a new ice cream coming out, which is a THC-infused ice cream called Nice Dreams, if you remember Tommy Chong's movie, Nice Dreams. So he was real interesting, and, he's a guy who has been to jail because of paraphernalia. He has had cancer and has cured himself using cannabis. And, he's an interesting guy, has tons of really great stories. and was a lot of fun to talk to.
Yeah, I'll bet he was. All right, Todd, we've got to run. I really appreciate the time that you've come on to the show and the education you've given our audience. And I know I don't need to, as they say, break a leg into the lion's mouth with your radio show. I know it's going to be a huge success.
I appreciate that.
All right, my pleasure. All right, Todd Denkin, CEO, DigiPath, symbol on the stock DIGP, web address DIGIPATH. Tune into his show, and it's the nationalmarijuananews.com. I'm sure it's going to be a tremendous success. On the other side of this break, we'll be right back with more content for you. And special thanks to 1-800-PublicRelations.com for all their PR and media support. We'll be right back.